So tell me about your background. What do you do? How did you get into this? And why does it matter?
I'm a personal trainer, and I grew up always with a fascination of health and wellness. And when I saw my mom stop exercising, I was asking why. And she said, it's because of your brother and you. So, of course, then she kind of elaborated. And basically, she developed stress urinary incontinence after childbirth. She had chronic back pain. She had a tummy that wouldn't flatten. And so witnessing this, coupled with a childbirth video that I saw in sixth grade, this was just not something I really wanted to participate in. So I grew up very adamant that I was never going to have children, but always had this fascination with health and wellness. So fast forward, I meet my now husband, and his sister-in-law allowed us to, brother and sister-in-law allowed us to witness their birth. And that was the first time I had seen anything different than what we see in the media. The people with the knees at their ears, somebody telling them to hold their breath for 10 seconds, but that whole thing, screaming, yelling, the drama. And this was the complete opposite to that. And so that was a really, it sort of planted a seed, because I wanted a family, but I just didn't want the effects that my mom had dealt with. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll become pregnant. Maybe I'll have a cesarean. Maybe that'll protect my pelvic floor. I didn't even know the term pelvic floor at the time. I just kind of thought of it as my vagina, and I didn't want my vagina to break. And that was that, right? And so then the following year I'm pregnant. Now I'm thinking, okay, now I really have to be thinking, how is this babe going to come out of me? My midwives had recommended a biofeedback device to me called the 𝒚𝒏𝒂, which is from Germany. And this was designed by a German physician who was in Africa, and he was using gourds. Sorry, he wasn't. He was witnessing women using gourds of increasing size to prepare their pelvic floor for birth. And so we thought, well, that's a great idea, but that's not going to fly in North America. So how can I make this more mainstream? And he worked with physios and midwives and other physicians and created a medical device. 𝒚𝒏𝒂 stands for no episiotomy. So the intention was, can we reduce tearing? Can we reduce episiotomies, with the intention of, that's not going to prevent all pelvic floor dysfunction, but it would be playing a role in helping people connect with their pelvic floor before birth. So used one, had a great experience. I didn't have any tearing, and I thought, well, I'm good. I didn't tear, so I'm fine. And then I used it for my second, and after my second, I developed stress urinary incontinence. And I thought, well, how is that happening? Because I didn't tear, and that was my limited knowledge at the time. And then I started to learn about pelvic floor physical therapy, and a lot of what I was seeing them do was very fitness oriented. So being a personal trainer, I was saying, okay, well, can I apply fitness principles to this group of muscles called the pelvic floor? And that's how things started. And initially it actually was, I started selling that device. I became a Canadian distributor for that product. I started an e-commerce store. Then I started to look at, I was working with mainly pregnant women wanting them to get this device, and I wanted them to have the information ahead of time. So I created a program called Prepare to Push, and it was all about training for birth. How can you reduce the likelihood of tearing? Then I saw, okay, well, I'm doing all this work, but now we don't give any regard in North America to postpartum recovery. So then it was investigating what other cultures do around the world. And I ended up forming a second business with two other women. One was a pelvic floor physical therapist. That was called Belly's Inc. And we manufactured our own postpartum wrap, because a lot of cultures use abdominal wrapping or abdominal binding as a way to help heal, or they say close the body after birth. So we wanted to make that a bit more mainstream. We wanted to couple it with exercise. That was the second business. Then started to go through my own perimenopause, menopause, shit show. And that was then a whole other chapter of pelvic floor that I was learning again. So it was kind of, this business has really followed my journey with pelvic health as well. All of it surrounding fitness to the pelvic floor and how we can optimize not just the movement we do, but the food, the building blocks that we consume, the sleep, the rest, the anxiety, the postures, all the other things that also influence the pelvic floor. So that's kind of how it started and how it has evolved to where we are now.
I love it. I love it. So it's your story as we go along here. And I mean, that's how so much of our work is, right? Like it's the challenges and the hurdles that we have and we face. And then I think God always gives us the work that we're supposed to be doing. It's whether we choose to listen or not, it gets, sort of gets put in front of us until we hear it.